The state of Illinois implements 1,000-foot no-ice zones around their courthouses, claiming to prioritize their citizens' safety. Two countries clash with FIFA over a scheduled Pride match in the upcoming World Cup. X's popularity skyrockets in Europe after the EU announces a $140 million fine on the platform. And what exactly was the message a North Carolina student painted on her school's spirit rock that was censored by the school? We'll get into all of that in your quick hits now. What's up, guys? Welcome to the wrap-up, where we break down the biggest stories of the week that you might have missed but need to know. I'm your host, Erin. Next up, the governor of Illinois, J.B. Pritzker, has signed yet another measure protecting illegal aliens from federal enforcement, this time preventing U.S. immigration and customs enforcement officers from making civil immigration arrests in or around Illinois courthouses, creating a 1,000-foot safe zone around them. The bill, which pushed through during the government shutdown, pushes the state towards full sanctuary status, even as critics warn it leaves communities less safe and pushes federal officers into far riskier situations. And the new measure affects more than just courthouses. Hospitals, daycare centers, and other public institutions will face new limits on how much information they can share with ICE. And the law gives Illinois residents the ability to sue federal agents if they claim their constitutional rights were violated. State Senator John Curran critiqued the measure, pointing out it doesn't eliminate enforcement, but simply forces ICE officers to make arrests in far less predictable environments, adding, quote, "With uncontrolled settings, there are heightened risks." And states like California and Connecticut have adopted similar restrictions, in sharp contrast to states that are actually working with federal agents to help enforce the law. Next up, two nations that criminalize homosexuality have asked to be left out of a soccer match that is being branded as a celebration of homosexuality. Egypt and Iran, who are scheduled to play in Seattle on June 26th in group play of the 2026 World Cup, the same day that Seattle is holding its Pride match, said that they want no part of the LGBT celebration. In a letter sent to FIFA, the Egyptian Football Association requested that there be no activities glorifying homosexuality during the match with Iran. Egypt references FIFA's policies requiring FIFA competitions to avoid anything that brings conflict between fans from different backgrounds. According to Human Rights Watch in Egypt, anyone caught engaging in homosexual activity faces up to 3 years in prison and may be liable for substantial fine. In Iran, the maximum penalty for homosexuality under the law is still the death penalty. Seattle's Pride Match Advisory Committee, which is not affiliated or endorsed by FIFA, is organizing the Pride Match that is still set to go on despite the two countries' requests during the city's Pride weekend. In our next story, the social media platform X has skyrocketed in popularity after the European Union announced last week that it had fined the site for violating transparency rules and other regulations. Elon Musk, who acquired the company in 2022, highlighted the platform's soaring popularity in Europe and ridiculed the EU's efforts to penalize it for defending free speech. The App Store rankings show that X is becoming the most downloaded app across the continent shortly after the European Union launched its proceedings against the platform. The European Commission, the main governing body of the EU, announced last week that it had fined X about $140 million for, quote, non-compliance with transparency obligations under the Digital Services Act. Musk responded to the news on X saying, quote, "The European Union is not democracy rule of the people, but rather bureaucracy rule of the unelected bureaucrat." The Commission also accused X of illegally blocking researchers and governments from accessing parts of its data. Nikita Beer, the head of product for X, responded to the allegations saying, quote, "The irony of your announcement, you logged into your dormant ad account to take advantage of an exploit in our ad composer, to post a link that deceives users into thinking it's a video and to artificially increase its reach. Your ad account has been terminated." Up next, a North Carolina high school student, Gabby Stout, painted a message honoring Charlie Kirk on her school's spirit rock, only to have it quickly painted over by the school. According to the Alliance Defending Freedom, Stout and her parents have now filed a federal lawsuit against the Charlotte-Mecklenburg Board of Education, accusing the district and school officials of, quote, unconstitutionally censoring Stout's speech that the First Amendment protects. A few days after Kirk's assassination, Stout contacted the school requesting the permission to paint the campus spirit rock. She noted that the rock had been previously used for messages including support for an NFL team and Black Lives Matter. The school granted her permission as long as the message didn't include vulgarity, profanity, or a political message. Stout, her parents, and 2 other students painted the large rock with the words, "Freedom 1776" and "Live like Kirk, John 11:25. According to the ADF, a school-wide email was sent out the next day branding Stout's painting as, quote, vandalism, and announcing an investigation. She was pulled from class to write a statement and forced to show officials her phone logs, despite not having permission from Stout's parents to do so. Days later, the school introduced a new Spirit Rock policy, restricting messages to those that promote, quote, positive school spirit and align with the community's, quote, inclusive values. The suit has been filed with the U.S. District Court for the Western District of North Carolina. Stout said, quote, "I'm taking a stand because I want to glorify God, and I don't want other students to be punished for expressing their faith as I did." And now it's time for quick hits. Leaders in Santa Barbara's East Side announced that they're canceling their annual Milpas Street holiday parade that's been running for decades, claiming that there's anxiety within the community that immigration and customs enforcement might shut it down, because enforcement of the law is just so terrifying. The national average for a gallon of unleaded gasoline dipped below the $3 mark this week, continuing a long trend that the current White House administration credits to the new energy policies. Outliers include left-leaning coastal states like California that reported a much higher $4.46 average. Troubling news from academia, where a recent report revealed that 90% of college students believe that speech can be violence. The prompt was not whether speech can lead to violence, but whether there are actually violent words. The leftist indoctrination continues. In pop culture, comedian Theo Von revealed on a recent episode of his podcast that he's been attending a Bible study with famous country singer Morgan Wallen, affirming the growing cultural trend of many returning to churches and seeking faith. While on a trip for a football tournament in Florida, 8 teenagers from Philadelphia decided to try to steal over $2,000 worth of merchandise from a Dick's Sporting Goods store. The teens quickly realized that they weren't in Philadelphia and were arrested, and due to being detained, missed their championship game, which resulted in a loss. The FBI is warning citizens about a new kind of scam that's becoming increasingly prevalent: AI kidnappings, where scammers will use photos of loved ones to create fake images of a kidnapping, demanding ransom money for their release. Watch out for those AI hallucinations and count the fingers, people. That's a wrap for this week. Make sure to like, subscribe, and leave a comment telling us what you thought about these stories. And we'll see you back here next week on The Wrap-Up. Thank you so much for watching this video. In order to keep PragerU videos free, please consider making a tax-deductible donation today.